Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. Today we celebrate Saint Dionysius the Areopagite. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Saint Dionysius the Areopagite. If you're Orthodox, chances are pretty good you've heard of him. If you are Roman Catholic, you've probably heard of him. Some of my Protestant friends at this point are saying, Dionysius the Areopagite, where is that from? We meet him actually in Acts chapter 17 on a place called the Areopagus, otherwise known as Mars Hill. By the way, I'll just give you a brief on why they are, why the Mars Hill has two names. So Ares is the Greek god of war. Areopagus means Ares Hill. During Roman times, Mars is the Greek god of war, and so Mars Hill, you see it's the same hill, just two different names. Anyway, so we meet St. Areopagus, St. Dionysius the Areopagite on Mars Hill. And as I mentioned, it's Acts chapter 17. I'm going to just give you briefly what we read in the liturgy today. Now, while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was provoked within him when he saw that the city was given over to idols. When Paul was in Athens, his spirit, there was something disturbed within him. He could not stand to see all of these people who were given over to idolatry. He was compassionate toward them. He felt sorry for them. He wanted them to know the true God. And so his spirit within him was provoked, and he knew he had to do something about it. So what did he do? He went to the place where he was most familiar, which was the synagogue. And he went there and began to reason with the Jews and the proselytes and talk to them about Jesus and about the resurrection. And so he started there. Secondly, then, it says he also went to the marketplace. So people would be out in the marketplace, not only buying goods, but exchanging ideas. And when people heard Paul preaching Jesus and the resurrection, some of them started to call him names and think he was delusional. And others said, wait a minute, we should probably hear what he has to say. And then along came some philosophers, Stoics and Epicureans. They came along, and it says that they seized him and they took him to the Areopagus. So, at the Areopagus, I'm going to read a little bit here. It says, let's see. For you are bringing some strange things to our ears. Therefore, we want to know what these things mean. And then it says, for all Athenians, verse 21, for all the Athenians and the foreigners who were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. So then St. Paul stands up in the midst of them and he says, men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious. In other words, they're always exchanging ideas. He sees all around him the idols, and he I won't say he compliments the men, but he tries to meet them where they are, and he says, I can see that you're very religious people. He says, for as I was passing through and considering the objects of your worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. Therefore, the one whom you worship without knowing, him I proclaim to you. St. Paul found an inn. He found a way to meet them where they were. That's exactly what he did. He began to tell them about this unknown God. He preached the gospel to them. He told them about the resurrection. When they heard about the resurrection, some of them began to scoff, right? This is not possible. And others said, well, we'll hear you again on this. But the thing is that St. Paul gives us a great example. He was in a place that was surrounded by idolatry. It was just full of idolatry. And he met these people where they were at, and he began to speak to them in a language that they could understand and reason with them, given their givens, ultimately to lead them to the gospel. And this is where we meet St. Dionysius the Areopagite. It says that St. Paul departed from among them. However, some men joined him and believed. Among them were Dionysius the Areopagite and a woman named Damaris and some others with them. There is our Dionysius the Areopagite. Blessed feast of St. Dionysius to all of you, and may we all have the boldness of St. Paul and the patience and the insights and the desire, the troubled spirit when we see people around us who do not know the truth, and the willingness to do what it takes to meet them where they are and in a spirit of love to share with them the joy that we have in Christ. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.